Hello and welcome to the Hobbies and Happiness podcast, where we talk all about the hobby that makes us happy, tabletop gaming. I'm your host, Dan.
And I'm Jim.
And this is episode number 15, how crowdfunding has shifted the industry. So Jim, it's weird. Like today is Tuesday.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's Thursday. It feels like it's already so late in the week.
Yeah.
It's one of those weeks. I feel like it's been one of those starts to the week for me. Has it been that for you, or am I the only one?
Yeah, I was actually telling my girlfriend yesterday. I'm like, wait, it's a Monday?
Yeah.
I was like so surprised.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like it's only Tuesday, but oh my word. Yesterday was a long day.
Yeah.
And we were working on some stuff yesterday, and we were just running into issue after issue, and then just having to fix stuff. And when you go through stuff like that, it's just it prolongs the day so stinking much. It's crazy.
Sure. Yeah.
It's crazy. Anyway, so other than that, how you have a good weekend, I guess?
I
can't even remember what happened this weekend, to be honest.
I honestly don't even know what happened.
Oh, we were supposed to do something on Saturday, like as a family, but this weather has been crazy.
Oh yeah, it's been raining.
It has been raining like every day. So I saw a meme like yesterday. You know Chris Farley, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it was a picture of Chris Farley doing one of his skits on SNL, and a picture of the radar, right, showing like all the rain, and it says in the text, "For the love of God, please stop raining." I'm like, yes, please, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. So yeah, it's been
the Bears.
It's been right. the Bears. Yeah. I did that skit like all the time back in the day. So yeah, that was fun. Anyway, before we get off on too much of a tangent, today we're talking about crowdfunding.
Yes.
Most particularly Kickstarter, right? Because Kickstarter is the most, basically the most prominent crowdfunding platform, basically on the planet. I don't want to say they invented it, but they kind of perfected it, given like using the tools that have been available.
Yeah, I was going to say, there was GoFundMe as well.
Yeah. So GoFundMe, is more used for individuals.
Right. Yeah, more personal things.
And Kickstarter has been utilized mostly by companies, like, big companies, and not even necessarily big companies, but to smaller companies. Yeah. There's other sites like I know there's Indiegogo. There's a couple others, but I think the two biggest that I'm aware of are Kickstarter and Indiegogo. Okay. You know what I mean?
I don't think I've ever been on Indiegogo, but the differences between GoFundMe and the Kickstarter is a bit different.
Well, because they were built from the ground up for two distinct purposes.
Right.
GoFundMe is strictly for, if you get hurt and I'm trying to raise money for you or something like that. Okay. We're calling the community saying, hey, we're just raising money for this. Okay. Kickstarter was specifically built for companies and individuals trying to make a product or service and get it out into the market.
So then what is the Indiegogo one? It's pretty
like
much the same as the Kickstarter one?
It's the Kickstarter. Okay. Yeah. But what I'm saying is there's other sites. It's not just Kickstarter. Yeah. There's plenty of other sites out there. But the two biggest ones that I'm aware of are Kickstarter and Indiegogo. Okay. Yes, GoFundMe is a crowdfunding platform, but it is used for completely different purposes. So if you're not familiar with crowdfunding, and this comes straight from Investopedia, crowdfunding is the use of small amounts of capital from a large number of individuals to finance a new business venture. Crowdfunding makes use of the easy accountability of vast networks of people through social media and crowdfunding websites to bring investors and entrepreneurs together, with the potential to increase entrepreneurship by expanding the pool of investors beyond the traditional circle of owners, relatives, and venture capitalists. So that's how Investopedia defines it. But, you know, we just got done talking about GoFundMe. GoFundMe, according to this definition, would not necessarily be considered crowdfunding, but it kind of is. Yeah. It kind of is. You know, it's, but again,
it's using a crowd to fund something.
Yeah, like it goes back to what we were just talking about earlier about, you know, the distinct uses for why you're raising money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it has nothing to do with a business. We're just trying to raise money for, you know, for whatever. Right. Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure we've all seen GoFundMe's like on Facebook and a bunch of social media.
Medical bills.
Yeah. Have you ever seen a GoFundMe about, hey, I'm trying to start a new business?
I was going to say maybe like when it first.
Have you specifically ever seen it? I know this is anecdotal, but still.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure, and I'm not going to, but I'm pretty sure if I pulled up GoFundMe and go into their mission statement or their reasoning, it's going to have nothing to do with business. It's all going to be about just raising, like, social fundraising, basically.
Right.
So, I'm curious. It's probably more not social fundraising.
The thing I was wondering was...
So I'm wondering if there's a difference, actually, between social fundraising and crowdfunding.
Okay.
I'm wondering. I don't know, but I'd be curious to know if that's the case. Yeah, you were saying?
The thing I was wondering was when GoFundMe... I'm fairly certain GoFundMe came out first. Maybe?
I
don't know.
Doubt it.
Okay.
I highly doubt it. Because we are going to get into the origins of Kickstarter.
Okay.
But... So you were saying, go ahead.
Yeah,
sorry. I'm looking up when GoFundMe.
Okay, yeah, I'd love to know when these two different things came out, and because what I was wondering or thinking was if GoFundMe did come out first, right, and that was really the only place where people were getting the crowdfunding from, if they did want to set up like a little bit of a business thing, whether it's for a small business, probably not large business scale, then that could make sense. And then Kickstarter came out and it was like, oh yeah, this is what we're specifically for, is for businesses. And then they could have migrated over.
No, they're different companies.
No. I'm meaning for like time wise when it came out. So I was saying if GoFundMe came out first, people could have started there until Kickstarter came out.
Oh, well, that's you've got it backwards. So Kickstarter started in 2009.
Okay.
GoFundMe started in 2010.
Oh.
And so GoFundMe, straight from their About page, launched in 2010. GoFundMe is the world's largest social fundraising platform. So like I said, it is classified as social. They classify themselves as social fundraising. With over $9 billion raised from more than 120 million donations, we're on a mission to help fundraise for personal, business, and charitable causes.
Oh,
so it's not about launching products. It's more about we're just raising money for for individuals or businesses. So it's all about the social aspect and not about what am I getting out of this.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I just didn't know when each one of them came out.
Right.
So.
You know, we were talking about before we said about research.
Yeah.
Should probably do that. Yeah. All right. So GoFundMe 2010, Kickstarter, what do you say?
You said
2009.
Yeah,
correct.
09.
Yes, 09. All right. So that brings us to so we're not really talking about GoFundMe. That was just an interesting point that we had thought about.
Yeah.
This conversation is totally revolving around Kickstarter, right? So like we said, Kickstarter launched in 2009, right? And I've got some of their stats pulled up. Oh boy. So straight on the Kickstarter stats page, okay? They like right in big numbers here. They have 204,262 successfully funded projects.
Wow.
Okay. And total dollars pledged to Kickstarter projects. What would you guess that number is?
Man. I have no idea. I'd be like close to $1 billion. Is it over $1 billion? I don't know.
So
I'd say $1 billion.
You're going with $1 billion?
Yeah, I'll say $1 billion.
All right, $1 billion. All right. So the total pledged to date. Okay.
Oh, total pledge. Okay.
Total dollars pledged, okay, is 5,929,699,197.
Wow. Okay. And
That's
is that like successful?
All it says is pledged.
Total pledge. Okay.
It says pledged. Okay. So they've got plenty more stats here. So if we go down to projects and dollars, so the success rate is right around 40%.
Okay.
38.89% total.
Okay.
So that's what their success rate is. So if you're unfamiliar with Kickstarter, the way it essentially works is if you're an individual or a business and you have a product or service, and the way they classify is just a project, okay? And you want to go to market with it, okay? You can use Kickstarter and say, okay, here is my project, okay? Market, community, here is my project. This is how much money we need, okay? We need like, let's just say they need $100,000 to consider it successfully funded in order to fund this project successfully, okay? If you do not meet that threshold because you say you need it by a certain date, okay? It's like a couple of weeks, a month, couple months, whatever it is. Normally it's like around a month or a couple of weeks. That's normally what I see. I've seen a lot of these projects last for the backing period. If you don't reach that goal, then the project is not successfully funded, and the people who have pledged their money to that project get refunded, and the creator or business or whoever, the backer, the creator of the project does not get any of that money.
Yeah.
So that's how Kickstarter works. I'm sure I'd be curious to know, because again, there's a few other sites, and I'm not totally sure if, for example, like Indiegogo, like we mentioned, if they do it a little bit differently.
Yeah.
They might not. I'm not totally sure. I would be interested to know, because with Kickstarter specifically, it's like you don't see any of that money. I'm wondering if there are other ones that are like you still get that money and you can, you can do with it, not necessarily what you will, but whoever pledged, they still are owed. They would still get owed something. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't know. I'm not sure, but that's how Kickstarter does it. So yeah, that's basically how Kickstarter works.
Also, okay? I was going to say, because you said that you get refunded if the pledge doesn't go, or if it's not successful.
You don't get charged.
Yeah, you don't get charged until it is successful.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that's another thing. Maybe some other sites outside of Kickstarter, you do get charged right away. I don't know. I would assume not. It would make the most sense to not charge right away and say you only get charged if the project is successfully funded. Yeah. Right. So that's when that money would get taken out of your account. Okay. So before we kind of get into the pros and the cons kind of crowdfunding in general, there's like two main articles that kind of go into the surge, if you will, of Kickstarter. So the way, crowdfunding and Kickstarter specifically have totally shifted and changed how tabletop gaming specifically is done. Okay. Yeah. Back in the day, like when we were kids, like the only way that I would see like a new game, or specifically like a board game, right, or a tabletop game, is I'd go to the store and see what they have on the shelf, right? Maybe get like a magazine and see like what games are coming. And normally these games are coming from like big name publishers, like Hasbro,
or it was a TV ad.
Well, yeah, you mean of where you saw it, right. But what I'm saying is the only companies who could do stuff like that were these big name companies like Hasbro. Yeah. And Hasbro is probably the biggest toy company who published board games back in the day, right? Now there's a lot more. There's a lot more companies who do it. But back in the day it was like Hasbro, and I'm blanking, honestly. But Hasbro was the big one.
I was going to say, did they make Barbie? I don't remember.
Mattel. There we go. There's another one. Yeah. So Hasbro, Mattel, those are probably the two big ones, right? So and so those were the only companies that were bringing these games to market, right? Yeah. So they'd have, Monopoly, Sorry, all of those, the evergreens, right? Yeah. A lot of the classic games, the old school ones, Clue, those games, Battleship, Stratego, those kinds of games, the games that have been around for a while, right? Those companies, those big name companies, were the only ones bringing those games to market, right? And so big companies, right? Well, that's where the money is, right? Those big companies were the ones that have the money. So if you wanted to you had an idea for a game, for a board game, you needed a lot of money to make that happen, right? So what you needed to do was you need to get in touch with somebody who has money, right? And in the industry. So for back in the day, it was you had to get an audience with Hasbro and Mattel, right? Yeah. And if they liked it, then they'd give you the money, and then you'd hopefully get your game made and published, right?
Yeah.
So like you only had one avenue of doing it, right? So Kickstarter came onto the scene, like we said, in 2009, okay? So
the internet's a beautiful thing.
The internet is a beautiful thing.
And it is a terrible thing, Dan.
Yeah, and you know what? I choose to look at the benefits and not the flip side, right? Yeah. I look at all the good things, and I try to not partake in the negative things. Yeah. It's difficult, but I guess it can be done, I guess. Okay. So on the Kickstarter blog, okay, they've got an article titled "The Year of the Game." Okay. In this article, this was written in September of 2012. Okay. 2012 was when Kickstarter really got to see a boost in gaming projects on the platform. Okay. So are you familiar with Reaper Miniature Bones?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Planetary Annihilation?
I don't believe that.
Okay, I know Planetary Annihilation. Yeah. It's a video game. It's a strategy video game. It's a lot of fun. So it's like Age of Empires, but like you're on a planet, and then you can launch these ships to go to other small planets, and then run one planet into the other to destroy it. It's really, really cool. It is really cool. So anyway, it's on Steam. It's a fun game. It's a lot of fun. Okay.
Planetary
Annihilation. Yes. Okay. So they start this article with saying those two projects, okay, they became the 10th and 11th Kickstarter projects to cross $1 million in funding. Wow. Now, this is back in 2012. Yeah. Okay. I guarantee you there's been a ton more projects that have passed $1 million in funding.
Yeah.
A ton since then. Since then. Okay. Which we're going to talk about another one here shortly. Okay. But
say if we're just talking on Kickstarter as a whole, not so much like board games or games specifically, then there's been a couple.
Oh yeah, of course there has, for sure. But again, this was 2012. Yeah. Okay, and so we're right now we're almost a decade, beyond that almost.
How dare you?
So 2012 is when they really saw this surge. In gaming. Okay. So in that year, they said more dollars have been pledged to games projects than to any other category. So games, that's not only tabletop games, but also video games. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So in that year, games saw $50 million in funding. Okay. Wow. In that year. Okay. So, and then they say in that year, games has gone from the 8th most funded category in Kickstarter history to the 2nd most funded in that year. So that year they went from the number 8 spot to number 2. Wow. So this is crazy. Listen to this. So in 2009, games projects saw funding of around $48,000. Okay. 2010, they saw $519,000. In 2011, $3.6 million. In 2012, $50.3 million.
That's a huger jump.
Yeah. So I mean, look at that graph. Wow. So all they did was they took those numbers and they just basically put it into a bar graph just to give you a visual representation. Which honestly, using those numbers, you don't need a visual representation of it. It's crazy. Oh, dude, I just went through the numbers just on a year-by-year basis, okay? So in 2012, 23% of all dollars raised on Kickstarter have been pledged to games. The year before, that number, percentage-wise, was 3.6%. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's insane.
What happened in 2012?
Of the 36 projects that have raised more than $500,000 that year, 20 have been games. Wow. 36 projects in that year raised over 500 grand.
Yeah.
20 of those projects were games.
Wow. Wait, wasn't that the year the world ended?
2012?
2012, yeah.
What's
December 21st or December 12th or something?
You know what? I remember actually, I was in college that year and I remember going to the theater to see that movie 2012. I was downtown Chicago and I saw that movie. Oh my word.
I was like, what happened that year? I'm like, yeah, the world ended.
Okay. No. So what happened that year?
Yeah.
I'll see if you remember this.
Okay.
Double Fine Adventure.
Double Fine Adventure.
Double Fine Adventure.
Fine Adventure. Okay.
So in that year, so you're not familiar with Double Fine.
I am not.
Okay. So back in that time when I was in college, I mean, I was much more into video games than I was tabletop gaming at the time. Okay.
Same.
And I remember, and I do remember this because I would visit like IGN too consistently. I'm not a big fan of them anymore, but back in the day they were okay. Double Fine Adventure. I'm just going to show you some of this art. And so I'm pulling up their Kickstarter page right now. So Double Fine Adventure is like it's more of a narrative thing. But the creator, let me see if I can find the creator here real quick. The name is escaping me. I've got his picture right there. But I can't find, give me 1 second to get this name. But the Double Fine Adventure, that was the game that really launched, that really started the Kickstarter the Kickstarter revolution, if you will, for games.
I didn't even
Tim
know that
Schafer. There we go.
Schafer.
That's his name. Yes, Tim Schafer. Does that name ring a bell?
It sounds very familiar.
Yeah. So Tim Schafer, he's a masterful storyteller.
Okay.
Right. And so, I mean, you saw that artwork. I mean, the art wasn't, I mean, it is a very distinct style for sure.
Yeah.
But it's nothing, I mean, I'll say it's nothing to write home about, right? In this day and age, you know, you're looking for, a lot of people, I should say, are looking for hyper realistic, you know, graphics and whatnot. That's not what this was. That's not what Double Fine's about. Double Fine, above anything, is all about storytelling, which is the most crucial thing anyway, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people think, no, it's the graphics. No, it's not.
Graphics don't make a game good.
No, they don't.
It just makes it pretty.
Yeah, it makes it pretty. But so that was really what catapulted games on Kickstarter.
Okay.
So it was that year, 2012. Okay. So fast forward. Okay. So let's fast forward to 2015.
All right.
Okay.
2015.
If you had to guess, I'll see, and I don't even know if you ever played this game. You probably have.
Okay.
But there was a game in 2015 that at the time became the most backed project of all time.
Oh.
Do you have an idea of what game it was? 2015.
2015. Backed game? Was it a video game or board game?
No, it is a tabletop game.
Oh,
it's a tabletop game. I will give you one hint, and this may or may not help you. Probably won't. Ellen DeGeneres.
Ellen?
Yes.
I don't think, I was honestly going to guess like Gloomhaven or something. I don't think I know.
No.
Yeah.
Gloomhaven is popular, but
yeah,
I'm actually not sure about Gloomhaven. I'll have to look into that.
I just know it's like the quote unquote #1 game on BGG. So.
BGG, Board Game Geek, yes.
Yeah.
No, not at the moment. It's not. Oh, actually, I don't know.
As of right now, it still is. Yeah,
it still is.
I'm fairly certain.
I guess I think the list that I always look at is the recent hotness. I think it's the list.
Oh yeah. We've gone over this before. You're like, no, it's right there. I'm like, no, this is the list.
Yeah. All right. So what would you guess? Any ideas?
I have no
Exploding
clue.
Kittens.
Exploding Kittens?
Have you ever played it?
Yeah, I've played it.
Okay, that's what I thought. I didn't know because I don't think we've ever played it.
Yeah, no, we haven't.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan. You get control spells. You just be like, no.
You do.
I love that game.
So in 2015, They became the most funded project in Kickstarter history, and I think it was basically because of Ellen.
Okay.
Because she played it, I believe, on her show. And that was what got a lot of people interested in it.
Let's go get it.
Yeah. So they raised $8.7 million.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so this article is from boardgameatlas.com, and all these articles that we're talking about, we will leave links to in the description so you guys can check them out for yourselves. And I highly recommend going through reading them because it's very interesting what they put in these articles. The big thing that really catapulted this project was community. Okay. So one thing, and I'll find it here. So it's funny, actually, in 2015, video game campaigns or projects in Kickstarter declined, went down by 8%. Okay. Oh, and actually, this is funny. So they're actually talking about, and this is in 2018. Okay. So I'm just going to read this paragraph here. So, however, in contrast, video game campaigns on Kickstarter declined by 8% in 2018 compared to the previous year, okay, hinting that tabletop games are becoming the prominent contributors of the gaming category, which they are. On Kickstarter, they 100% are, okay? So, and they go on, but what has caused this massive boom in interest surrounding board games, which can also be seen in the dramatic recent growth of the subreddit r-boardgames, which reached 2 million Reddit subs on June 25th of 2019. And how has Kickstarter affected the board game medium? Okay, so they go on and just, they go on talking about what Kickstarter is, Power to Little Guys, which we've kind of touched on, which we'll talk about which we will definitely talk about more. Excuse me. Innovation and whatnot. But the big thing is it's the communities, right? So with Exploding Kittens, there was one of the backers, okay? One comment by user Fractal Sauce, okay, on the article, okay. They put, "This is my first Kickstarter I've ever backed, and I'm proud to be part of the 219,372 backers. Congratulations." So he's like, that number, that 219,000 number, right? That's the number at the time who were backing that project. Like, so you're immediately a part of a community of people,
200,000 people,
who are giving money, right, to this creator in exchange for a board game, right?
Yeah.
In this case, Exploding Kittens. So what they decided to do, they call themselves the Kitten Core. Kitten Core, yeah. So like they started like their own website or whatnot, and like what happened was, I think the creators saw what they were doing of calling themselves like the Kitten Core and whatnot, and they were taking it like dead serious. Like they created their own website and whatnot. So I think the creators like made them their own cards or something, like their own decks or something. It was, but that's what you do. That's what these creators do when they use Kickstarter. Okay, and we'll get into it here in a little bit more. But so it's like, you saw the timeline kind of. So 2012 really exploded it with Double Fine Adventure, okay, Tim Schafer. Then you go to 2015 with Exploding Kittens, and then it's just a constant and consistent stream of competition and innovation. Right. So with that being said, and it's also, so there's one other thing, okay. There's this graph, and they show game releases per year, okay. And so it goes all the way back to 1970 and then all the way up to 2020. It looks like it's an exponential growth. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
So you see that. So like back in 2000, okay, it was around 150 game releases. Okay. 2010, 450. 2017-ish, about over 800. So it's that you see that consistent growth curve. And it is crazy. And I think that is due in large part, in my opinion, to Kickstarter. Okay. So now like, why is that though? Right. So why is that? Okay. So in order to talk about or figure out the why, let's look at the pros, okay? The benefits of using a platform like Kickstarter, okay? Number one, I want to talk about the accessibility of funds. Okay, so we've already talked about it, right? A little bit of saying of how the industry was back in the day of if you had an idea about a game and you didn't have any money, you had to go to somebody who had money and basically get their help in order to make this idea into a game. Like since we're talking about making a board game, who were the ones who had money back in the day? It was only those big name companies.
Yeah.
Okay. And those were the only companies who wanted to be making board games, you know, the Hasbros and Mattel, right? So you had to basically get in front of their board or whoever and basically say, here's my idea. And then they would shoot your idea down. You know, that's the only way you could do it. It's like you could do that. You could get a loan.
Yeah.
Okay. A big loan because, you know, you're going to have to make everything yourself. You know, that's how you had to do it. But now it's a lot different.
Yeah.
Now it's a completely different thing.
Now I can call 10,000 people without having to actually talk to them. And they're like, oh, hey, let's check out this random board game.
Yes and no. Yes and no. Right. So the first step, you know, is getting it on a platform like Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So we just looked at that growth curve, right, of the number of releases and whatnot. So that's it's a good thing and it's also a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
Because then now we're talking about the market saturation.
Yeah.
You know, like if you release a project, you're competing with all these other people who also have a project and the same amount of time, and they're trying to get their name out there too, right?
Yeah.
So it's a don't get me wrong, it's definitely a good thing. It is definitely a good thing, right? But now it's you're competing with the market, right? The market has changed so much now to where it's more, I don't want to say it's more about name recognition anymore because it's definitely not. Back in the day, 100% was.
Yeah.
But now it's more about your idea. Like, can your idea compete with everybody else's idea?
Yeah.
That's what it's more about. But anyway, the accessibility of funds, like to your point, it is still there. You can put it on these platforms and get access to these millions of people that are using these platforms.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of people who they just browse like they browse the Kickstarter sections of, hey, I'm looking for what are some new games?
Yeah, looking for a strategy game,
right?
And blah blah blah.
Right. So you've already got that user base, okay, of people using these platforms, okay? And then you connect that platform to Facebook, Instagram, all these other social platforms, okay? And you know, your funds are there. They are sitting in the user's pockets.
Yeah.
Now you just have to convince them to give you the money, right? So that's this benefit or pro, we were saying, this is more from the creator's standpoint, right? So let's talk about another pro here. Okay, the rewards.
Yes.
Okay, now rewards are 100% on the side of the investor. Okay, and I'm using investor in quotes because we're technically investors. Like if you back the product, you are an investor.
Yeah.
Okay, you're an investor for that creator. So one of the things that Kickstarter does, and Jim, you can tell me if I'm wrong or just give me some other examples that I don't even think about here. Excuse me. Is so in a lot of these projects, right? When these creators come to the market and they say, "Hey, people, I have an idea. Okay, here's my project. Okay, and here's what you're gonna get." Okay, a lot of times they give these different tiers. Okay, if you give me $10, you get option 1. Okay, you give me $20. Okay, you get option 1 and you get option 2. You give me $50. Oh boy, 50. You get option 1 and option 2, and you get this special thing. You give me $100 or more, then you're going to get all these other things. Okay. Yeah. So you've got these, a lot of the times you have different platforms, okay? So you're appealing to a wider range of audience, okay? So actually, you know what? I'm going to append what I said. What I had said was the rewards are merely from the benefit of the investor / consumer. No, I think they're actually a benefit to the creator as well, because you're appealing to a wider audience.
Yeah.
Okay. Instead of saying, hey, I have one thing here and this game, okay, you get all of these things, but it costs $100. Okay. Somebody who says, well, I don't have $100 to spend, you've just lost that sale. Okay.
Yeah.
If you have a lower tier, say, hey, we have tier at $20. Say, okay, hey, I don't have $100, but I do have $20. Let me give it $20. And then I'm getting something out. So that is the benefit of the creator.
Yeah. I mean, it's a win-win for both.
Right. No, sure. But initially I was approaching this merely from the standpoint of
that you're getting something.
Correct.
As a consumer.
The consumer standpoint. Right. But you're right. It is a win-win because it is totally a benefit to the creator of the project to appeal to a wider range of people in doing so.
Which is a great thing as to why they have those different tiers. It could be like, oh, the novice tier or the expert tier or the professional tier. But I have seen a couple instances in Kickstarter to where they actually have a retailer tier as well.
A lot of them do now. A lot of them
you
do
could
now.
just be like, oh yeah, we're going to get 10 of each of these games, and then part of the expansions, maybe some unique figures to go along with it as well.
Right. But again, and like we just said, you are now, instead of merely appealing to the everyday consumer, you are now also appealing to small business owners to want to sell the product in their own stores.
Yeah.
So, and we're going to talk about our spotlight for the week. We're going to talk about it at the end of the episode. But there's this project. They've got a lot of different tiers, and a retail tier is one. A couple of different retail tiers is one of them as well, for sure.
Yep.
So again, appealing to as many people as possible is the smart business decision.
For sure.
Okay. So like we said, it is a win on both sides. Okay. Okay. So the last thing here, the benefit is honestly the power of social media and the internet. Okay. That is 100% the selling point for these platforms like Kickstarter. Okay. It's using the power of the internet and social to spread the word, to get your name out there. Okay. If you're a small creator, okay, you don't have the audience that a Wizards of the Coast has.
Yep.
Okay. But technically you do. Like you do have access to that audience.
Yeah.
Okay. It's gonna be a lot of work. A lot of work for sure, but you still theoretically, you do have access to that audience.
Yeah.
Okay. But like, it's going to be a lot of work, but through the power of social media and internet, you can access all these people. So like we had talked about earlier, right? So we have Kickstarter is a platform. Okay. You use Kickstarter as a platform to connect to these other social platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and use your friends that you have on the platform. Okay. Appeal to them, have them appeal to their friends. Okay. I mean, it's just honestly, it's the power of technology. It amazes me. Like, honestly, every time I just use social media at all, how many people I'm reaching. Whereas when I was a kid, it's, hey, let me go talk to my friend or go to the store, and talk to all 5 people that I know or am able to talk to.
Earlier when we were talking, and we were posting the stuff on Facebook about specific things, and I don't personally have a lot of friends on Facebook. I tend to keep it pretty low. I don't want to see a whole lot of stuff on Facebook. Right. I go there for whatever reasons.
Right.
And but I invited majority of the people I have on there, and it's like, sure, that's not a whole lot, but when they share it to other people as well, then it's like, all right, well, now maybe 10 of their people come into the thing, and then they share it to more people.
Right. So here's an anecdote, right? So what Jim's referring to is we finally got a bunch of our socials made.
Yes.
So we've got our logo designed, and we're super happy with how it turned out. We're stoked about how everything turned out. And so what happened was we our designer sent us the information, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I've been tirelessly at work getting our social media handles like updated with artwork and whatnot. And I'm still in the process of designing some other artwork that we can use for him, because I'm a neat freak. And honestly, I posted this on Facebook today. I don't know if you saw that, but I'm like, I haven't flexed these creative muscles in a long time, and it feels really good. Honestly, it does feel good. So I'm at work designing some artwork and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we got our Facebook. Okay, we've got our Facebook page kind of up and running. Okay, and so what happened was, when I got it started, okay, I made an event for our event. Okay, so if you're not aware, might as well talk about it now. We've got an event coming up July 10th at the New Lenox Special Recreation Association building here in New Lenox, Illinois. It is July 10th from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Okay. And basically, we're just going to be out and about, involved in the community. It's going to be a community game day. Okay. So come out, play some of your favorite games. We're going to be, see that board, this thing right here. Okay. We've got a lot of games that on my shelf right here that we're going to be bringing, like a bunch of those. Okay. So come out, have a good time. Yeah. So, I'm probably going to talk about it a little bit later, but anyway, I made the event and then I shared all this information like on my Facebook. Okay.
Yep.
And so I invited literally every single one of my Facebook friends to the page. Okay. And a bunch of them shared it too. And so I'm seeing like on that post, like it's getting a lot of reach and a lot of engagement because other people are sharing it. It's the social media word of mouth. Okay? Yep. And it is very powerful. It's crazy. So like Jim has his friends that are not friends of mine on Facebook. And I'm seeing them share it. I'm like, this is great. Like it's just, we're spreading that word. Okay, which again, it's the same thing. It's the same principle as word of mouth. It's just digitally, right? It's digital word of mouth.
It's a little bit faster.
Yeah. So it's crazy. So Kickstarter and platforms like it utilize this technology to the greatest extent possible, and that's why I think Kickstarter and these platforms are so popular and powerful. Right, is because their platforms are built in this day and age for this day and age. Yeah. Right. So those are the three biggest benefits of platforms like Kickstarter. Is there anything that you can think of that we haven't really touched on yet? Because I think those are like the three biggest things. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, just the fact of being able to, pretty much get a hold of people that you have no clue even exist, or the people that back your game, that could also know more people out there in the world. You never really know what you're going to come across on there.
Right.
So,
right. But and the thing is, like, social media is work. Like, advertising is work. Okay. Yeah. But advertising now in 2021 is so much different than it was back pre-2000, back in the 90s, in the 80s. It was all, if you wanted to advertise, you had to get in touch with big name advertisers, and get the word out there.
Newspaper,
right?
Or
and now it's so different. It's so different now. It is crazy. It's crazy how easy it is. The scary thing is how easy it is, and that's also the bad thing of how easy it is. We were talking about the saturation of the market. Like it's crazy. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we've talked about benefits. Okay. Now let's talk about the flip side. Okay. Let's talk about the negatives. Okay. Yeah. I see a lot of people talking about negatives when viewing Kickstarter. So for me, I think the positives kind of outweigh the negatives. Okay. Yeah. Because we've seen the numbers, right? We've seen the rise of these projects, innovation, okay, competition, okay, making the industry better as a whole, making the games better, okay. The games that are coming out now are amazing. They're so good. And I think the reason that is not because of the ease of platforms like Kickstarter, of how easy it is to get the word out there. I think it's because of the accessibility of platforms like this. It's making it easy for all these companies and creators to make these projects, but it's also forcing these creators to make good products.
Yeah.
Okay. Because the market is getting saturated, is getting oversaturated. They're all competing with each other, right?
Competition builds greatness.
Exactly. So one of the negatives, okay, that I want to talk about is also positive rewards.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, am I right?
Yeah, I'd say so.
So why am I right? Why am I right, Jim?
So it's I'm
interested in your take here.
When I was going over our outline, I also had the same exact idea of when the rewards are really good, but then you don't back it, or if you don't make it in time to back it, and you miss out on certain things.
Yeah, so you're jumping ahead a little bit, but like
this is why I instantly thought of it.
I know, because these negatives literally they all go together.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
they really do. So before we even actually talk about it, I want to kind of lay them out here. So the number one we have is rewards. Okay, number two is FOMO, fear of missing out.
Yeah.
Okay, and then number three is actually missing out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they all really do go together. So when you have all these different tiers, okay, you as a consumer, you now have to make it a choice. Like we talked about earlier, those different options. You have a tier $20, $50, $100. Do I go at $20 and miss out on what's at 50 and 100? Yeah. Do I go at 50, miss out on 100? Or do I just say, screw it, we're just going to go all in. We're going to do the all in bundle. We're going to get everything.
Yeah.
That way we don't miss out.
Yeah.
Right? That's an honest value proposition that you have to answer for yourself. Yeah. Like each consumer has to answer to, right? And so, I just actually thought of one, but
as I say, I thought of another con too.
Okay, all right. So, but we'll no, let's actually talk about it right now. So, what I had just thought about was, you do back a project, and then the creator just doesn't give you your stuff. Like and not because like a lazy creator. There's a project that I backed a couple years ago. I still haven't gotten it yet. I have not gotten it yet. Now, I think a lot of these projects that are on Kickstarter now are facing delays because of COVID, right? Because of the pandemic, there have been a multitude and myriad of shipping delays throughout the world because of Kickstarter, but COVID. And I think a lot of the delays are due to COVID. Okay.
Yeah.
However, I thought I was supposed to get this thing like December of last year. And I don't have it yet.
Yeah.
But I think it's because of COVID. But the creators, they are not update. Like they give us an update like once a month. Like, dude, no. Give me an update like once every week. I mean, that's better than nothing, right? It is better than nothing, but like they never talk about the delays.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh, hey, we got some artwork of this miniature to show you. I'm like, I don't care. How about you tell me, like, what's the timeline?
Where's my product?
What's the timeline look like? Like, they're not telling me. So like it forces creators to be, number one, be responsible. Okay. Because like if you upset your customer base, guess what? I'm going to tell everybody else about it and say, hey, don't like, they didn't even make a good product. They didn't deliver on their promises. They can't keep their word. All of those kinds of things. So that's what I thought about. What just came into your mind?
So kind of with that as well. So you were talking about not getting it at X time. I was thinking of, it can take you a while to get your stuff, because a lot of these, when you're backing them, they're like, 30 days to complete. But then estimated time would be like fourth quarter 2022.
Okay. Well, and you know why that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is all pre-production. Yeah. So making a product.
I know it takes a while.
Yeah, right. Like it takes a long time. But like using a platform like Kickstarter, it brings it very close to home. So I think that is both a negative and a positive. The negative, like you were saying, of if you choose to back it, like I've backed a couple projects where it's like, I'm not getting this until at least a year.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not getting it for a year. Right. So, but But what I think it does, the pro here, is it educates consumers into the process of what it takes to build a game, right? Or build a project like this, like everything that entails, because it's like, okay, I have an idea. That's a different
kind of pro, I think.
No, right. Like it makes consumers smarter, right?
Well, as long as they realize that, because otherwise they're going to be like, I gotta wait for this thing. This should already be done.
Well,
blah, blah,
and
blah,
honestly, a lot of times, and creators now, especially since Kickstarter has been around for so long, and I think a lot of creators now are using this as an opportunity to really educate the market and their customers into what it takes, what all goes into making these projects that they love. Because a lot of the times it's like you're buying games from these developers that are publishers that you've played a lot of these games before and you just absolutely love them. And so you have that relationship with that game creator, right? And so they're taking that opportunity to build that relationship with you and say, hey, community, guys, I'm being straight up and honest with you. This is everything that goes into making this game. I know you've loved a lot of these games, and I thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. But here's another idea that I have, and I want to share it with you. I'm excited to share it with you. And then they go through the steps of like, okay, here's the initial idea that we've had. Okay, now we have to send all of this stuff out to the artist. Like the artist has to create all the art, right? You have to get the physical products made, and then they got to be shipped to this person, and then shipped to this, and then you got to, once you get it, you receive it, you have to quality control, do some testing, see how it looks, make sure everything looks good, send it back and say, okay, we approve of these proofs. Now you can start full production, and then they get shipped back. A lot of times that gets done in China, right?
I was going to say, and on top of that, you also have to take the time period of, balancing the game. You could just be like, some of these pieces or some of these cards or whatever it is.
A lot of the times that's done previously. A lot of the times. Not actually, you know what? I'm not even going to say a lot of times because I don't know. I'm not going to say a lot of the times. That's a guess. That's a guess for me. I would assume that that's kind of done a little bit ahead of time. I would think, but that's a good point because that is something that has to get done.
Or it could be a realization of, sure, they could have play tested it already, but as they got closer, they're play testing it more, and you'd be like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, this should not work like this.
This interaction. Right. Play testing is a thing that has to happen with a lot of these games. And it does. And so, you're definitely right. Like, play testing definitely happens.
There's also a board or a tabletop game called We Didn't Play Test This.
Is there really?
Yeah, there is. I have it. It's crazy. It takes like 3 minutes to play with like 7 people. It's nuts.
That's funny. That is funny.
Yeah.
Okay. So like we said, so the fear of missing out and actually missing out, like those are actual things that happen, right?
Yeah.
So like you, as a consumer, if you see this project and you see it while it's happening, okay, you have to then decide, am I going to back it? Okay. Or am I just not going to? It's like, let's say that there's a project, okay, and then you get excited about it, right? And then you're like, it's too much money though, and I honestly don't have the money at the time to back it. And then you have to miss out because you just don't have the money. Like your money's tight. And that is a honest thing that, when you have so many games, like we said, what was it? 2017, over 800 games came out. You can't realistically, if you love games, you can't be buying 800 games a year.
There's no way.
You can't. Like, it's just not realistic.
Yeah.
So, like, you, as a consumer, you have to be making these hard choices. Like, it's a good problem to have. Like, it really is a good problem to have when you have just so many amazing things, amazing games, making this industry and this hobby just so awesome to be a part of.
Is there a game that was on Kickstarter that you were like, man, I really wish I did get into it?
You know what, Jim? I'm glad you asked that. I'm very glad you asked that. So it was interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So today, right? So today I'm at work. Okay. I'm getting a bunch of work done. And I got a notification that this creator was doing a live stream, right?
Okay.
So I popped it open. I opened up in an extra tab, and I just turned up the volume just so I could hear it, so I could hear what he's talking about. And he's talking about this game. Okay, it's called Star Realms. Okay, the Star Realms Deluxe Nova Collection, and I immediately went, excuse me? What is this? What is this game that you like? I know what Star Realms is.
Yeah.
I absolutely love Star Realms.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out, okay, I believe this project launched in January of 2020. Okay.
Oh.
I did not know that at the time as I'm listening to this. Okay. So he's talking all about this collection. Okay. And basically what he's talking about is all of the foil cards, because this collection is all about like foil. They foiled out the entire Star Realms collection.
Yeah.
As card game players, Jim, you know how important foil cards are, right?
It depends on the card game, Dan.
True. I'm not talking about Pringles. Okay.
For those of you who don't know, Magic the Gathering has had a problem recently.
Very recently.
With foil cards. So shiny ones.
Yeah.
And just out of the pack, they will be in a U shape. They will start to curl. They'll look like a Pringle.
Yeah.
Magic has had a problem with that. Yu-Gi-Oh also can have a problem with that. Their cards will just start to turn into a U shape a little bit, curve a little bit. And it's just the card stock that goes with the foiling as well. And
I think Wizards of the Coast has done something weird recently about, I know what it is. They've just been trying to save money and pass along all of the costs just to the consumer.
I was going to say, I believe some of their more recent ones, so like the last 2 sets that have come out, their foiling has gotten better. But like Commander
Legends,
Commander Legend was rough.
It was terrible.
Yeah,
it was so bad. So, and it was funny because Brad Dougherty, the creator of Star Realms, the owner of Wise Wizard Games. Speaking of fantastic company, Wise Wizard Games, Star Realms is a fantastic game, fantastic deck builder. We love deck building games, card games in general. We are card game players.
We just played DC Deck Builder last night.
And it was awesome. It was
awesome for you, Dan.
Yes, it was. It was fantastic. I think I ended the game with like 52 points. What did you have?
I ended with 25. Yeah, I got stomped.
So it was fun. It was a good time. So anyway, I opened up and I'm listening to this and I'm like, what in the world? Because he's talking all about the foiling and how important the process was, because they got the proofs back and they were going through of kind of what they liked, what they did not like, what they approved, because they're like, we don't want these to be like Pringles, and everybody in the chat was just like, oh yeah, you mean with a certain company, who shall remain nameless,
some other brother of the Wizard family.
Yeah, right.
Who knows?
Right. So, anyway, so I'm looking at it, I'm like, what is this project? So I pull it up in Kickstarter. I'm like, actually, no, I think I had messaged, I put in the chat and I'm like, any chance there's late pledges available? And like, no. So I pulled it up and I'm like, oh my word, this was January 2020.
Yeah.
How? And I'm like, I missed this.
Yeah.
And so what they did say was, in future Kickstarters, hopefully, like, this is not going to be a retail thing. You can't just buy this at retail. Right. Because, one of the nice things about doing stuff with Kickstarter is you're not just going to have random inventory. Yeah. You're ordering just enough for people who are pledging it. So you're not just going to have all this random inventory. Okay. But they were like, in future Kickstarters, this will probably be an option that you can buy at Kickstarter, because they wanted it to be an exclusive collection for fans of the game. I'm like, well, I'm a new fan of the game. I want to do this. I'm a new fan. So like, that is a negative, because it's like, I miss this. Yeah. It's unfortunate. Yeah. And so there's a lot of different schools of thought, because there's plenty of people who like get legitimately upset at instances like this, because like I'm not upset. I'm more frustrated. Just the fact that I'm just bummed out, that I missed it. Yeah. But I'm hoping, like, I follow this Wise Wizard. I follow Robert Daugherty now as a creator. I'm like, I love their products. I love their games. And if they create another product, I will most likely try and back it just so I can get access to the Deluxe Nova collection of Star Realms.
Yeah.
100%. Right? So looking at me, of course this is all anecdotal, but like for me, I'm like, now I am following this company.
Yeah.
I'm following what they're going to be doing as a creator. Like I'm a consumer, so I'm following what they're going to be doing because
and I'm sure there's other people that the same thing happened to.
And this totally happens all the time. So again, it's literally the double-edged sword of every single time with stuff like this. So I choose to look at the positives. I think the positives far outweigh the negatives. When we've looked at all of those, you can't tell me that all of this is a bad thing.
Yeah.
Looking at all those numbers.
The only bad thing is you missed out.
Yeah.
Like that's
right. And honestly, I feel like as Americans, that's typical. You know what I mean? Like as Americans, we're just like, oh yeah, that's stupid. But like the rest of the world, normally they're like, yeah, whatever. They're fine, you know? But as Americans, we're just like, we hate it, you know? I mean, we're conditioned to, we want it now, you know? We don't want to wait, right? So
it's my board game and I need it now.
So, yeah, I mean,
for those of you who know, you know.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
We're not sponsored by them. I won't even say their name.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, so yeah, that is a real like. I'm not gonna say it's a problem because, like I said, I don't view it as a problem.
It is a thing.
Yes, it's a thing.
It is a thing.
It is a thing. It's an inconvenience. But I don't think it's anything more than an inconvenience, honestly, because I think at some point there's going to be a point in time where this will be available to me. Okay. It's just not available. It's not available to me right now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. So, now I'm interested. Oh no, you know what? They don't show it. Maybe, no, they do not show it.
They don't show it.
Oh, they do. They do. Okay. So, just the numbers. Okay. For Star Realms Deluxe Nova Collection. Okay. So this is a project for 2020. Okay. We've talked about, we went over some numbers earlier. Okay. So the amount, their goal for this project was $50,000. Okay. How much would you guess that was pledged? What would you guess?
Ooh, we'll say 700%.
I don't know percentage wise.
Oh, okay.
But so, actually, you're probably kind of close.
So at that, or you said 50,000 total is what they wanted.
50,000 total is what they wanted.
All right,
yeah,
so I'll say 350.
620,000.
I was off by a lot though.
Yeah, yeah, you were.
Or I guess 700% would be 8 times. So yeah, I should have went to 400.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. So yeah, 620,000. Wow. Roughly, right around that. So yeah. So okay. So now that.
Oh no, I lied because they needed the 50,000, so that would have been 100% of it has been. All right, I was right. All right, it's 35K. We're good. Or 350K. I was right with the 700% would have been 350.
Oh, okay, that's what you're saying.
I was just correcting myself.
He was correcting his math. Yeah, he was correcting his math, people. It's okay. It's okay. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna be on the lookout for this, 100%. And I think everyone, like, if you guys like and enjoy card games, you gotta follow Wise Wizard, man. They're a fantastic company. Star Realms, Hero Realms, 2 awesome games, and we're gonna be playing.
Yeah, you just picked up a couple of those.
Yeah, yes, I did. Yeah, so we're gonna be playing a bunch of those soon. Just stay tuned. Anyway, okay. So this leads us into the Kickstarter project of the week that I kind of want to talk about here. All right, and that is The Binding of Isaac: Four Souls Requiem. It is a card game, yes, of course, because we love card games here. And it's fantastic. Apparently, this is an expansion to the base game of The Binding of Isaac, the card game. Four Souls, The Binding of Isaac: Four Souls Requiem is the official expansion. Okay. I think this game's been out for a while. Okay. So at time of recording, there's 53 hours left in the Kickstarter. Okay,
Oh,
so
wow.
if you're hopefully you're listening to this just as this episode releases, and then go check this project out on Kickstarter. At the time of recording, there are 42,825 backers. Okay, for a grand total of $5,545,364 pledged.
Shucks.
So you know how earlier we talked about exploding kittens?
Yeah, you said that was what, 5.2 mil?
Yeah, it was right around there.
Wow.
Yeah. So and now, Binding of Isaac is still not the most funded on in Kickstarter, especially in games. So, yeah, dude. Yeah. So if you're not familiar with the Binding of Isaac, well, let's say what can we say that's like suitable? Have you ever played Binding of Isaac?
I've never played it, but I know about it.
Okay. Yeah. just search Binding of Isaac, and if you're
a baby.
If you're a little squeamish, just don't, okay?
Yeah, pretend is a baby in danger.
Yeah. Anyway, so the project, card games in general, we love card games in general. And honestly,
I've been playing them for a while.
Yeah, and this project is a lot of fun. It looks very, very good. Okay. And clearly, and they're just more backers. I'm watching these numbers live as and it's just, they keep going up. The numbers keep going up. So anyway, we will be posting links for this project as well in the description. So one other thing that we kind of failed to mention, a lot of these projects, again, we talk about appealing to a wide range of a wide audience. You can give money to a lot of these creators without getting a reward.
Yeah.
So like on this one, you can just pledge $10, you know, and just say, hey, I believe in you. Here's $10. It's pretty much all I have, but I like you as a creator and get, here's some money.
You can give whatever amount you want.
Yeah, you can give whatever amount you want, of whatever amount you want.
Yeah.
The only reason I'm just saying $10 is because here, that looks like it's the minimum. I don't know if you can give below. Oh, no, it does. It's weird. It's just weird because they have pledge without a reward.
Yeah.
The first thing, and it says, and the amount that comes up is $10. But then right below it, it says pledge $1 or more. Just give me that Isaac swag. So you don't get anything, with this tier. But normally that's the first thing you see is pledge $1 or more.
I was going to say, I believe if you clicked on a higher one, you're actually able to pick if you want the reward or if you just want to donate that much money.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Normally you can. But all I was just saying was normally that first box.
Oh, right. Will be the lowest amount.
Yeah, and that's normally first, but it's just weird that this is first.
It's set up like that.
The $10 is first.
Yeah.
So anyway. So yeah, you can pledge like $1 or more, okay, and to get nothing. Okay. The next tier is $35 or more. And then there's $40 or more. $65 or more, $105 or more, $110 or more, $120 or more, which is the retail tier, $150 or more. So there's a lot of different tiers for this. Okay. Yeah. I'm not going to go into what's in each tier because we'd be here forever.
Yeah. It tends to take a while. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So anyway, it's there.
Yeah. All right, Dan, I'm going to talk about the one that got away now.
Oh, yeah. My bad. Yes.
You're good.
Yes,
You're good.
Yes. I didn't know if you had one. So yeah, let's hear it.
It's not a board game though. Okay. This is a video game that I've been following since I believe it was 2017 or 2018 in May. Okay. It was a game called Ashes of Creation.
Okay.
By Intrepid Studios.
Okay.
And as of right now, they are still the #1 backed MMORPG, which is massively multiplayer online role-playing games. Yep. So like World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy stuff.
Yep.
And I never backed it back then. It was because I wasn't working like the greatest job. I didn't have a whole lot of money. And I could have gotten a lifetime subscription to this game. And it was only cost like $500, right?
Okay.
So at that time, There was no way.
Only
But
$500.
but there was so much hype about this game, and there's still so much hype about this game. I've been waiting for a while, and yeah, this is the one that I'm currently in Alpha 2 testing, and they are in Alpha 1 testing right now. I could get into it, but I just don't. I just don't want to put the rest of the money in. But yeah, that is the one that has gotten away from me. I'm just like, this is the game that I want to play for a very long time.
So this was back in 2017?
Yeah, I believe it was 2017 or 2018. I forget exactly.
And it's not even officially out yet?
It's not even out yet. Yeah. That's like when they really started.
Yeah. So that's what we're talking about these timelines.
Yeah.
So for video games, it's worse.
Oh, for MMOs, it's way worse.
Oh, yeah.
Because
the timeline, like the amount of time that goes into making those types of games, because they're inherently so much more technical.
It takes about 5 years minimum to make an MMO. Yeah. And it's the amount of resources that goes into it is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
To me, I'm like, I think you dodged a bullet.
For me, I'm like, I'm gonna go back in time and just 500.
Yeah, right. Oh my word. Yeah. So, yeah. Oh man, dude, that's crazy. 2017.
Yeah.
Oh my word. What is their timeline? Like, when do they think they're going to be?
So how I'm seeing it, every single year they're going to. So right now they are in Alpha 1 testing.
Yeah.
The end of this year should be Alpha 2 testing.
Okay.
And then so early, mid next year, Beta 1, and then end of next year, Beta 2.
Got it.
So we're still looking at roughly 2023 release date.
Got it.
Yeah, we got a while.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. 2017 or 2018. I forget exactly, but
wow.
Yeah.
All right. So that's Kickstarter. So again, Kickstarter, a fantastic platform. Yeah. Again, like we said, it's got those pros and cons. I mean, you're gonna hear a lot of different people give their opinion about if they love it, they hate it. Honestly, a lot of people, it's a love-hate relationship, to be quite honest with you. Yeah. But I think in my view, the positives far outweigh the negatives. I think that it was in the board game industry in particular. I'm only speaking from the board game industry point of view, but I think in every industry, I think the positives outweigh the negatives, in all honesty. So
we did go over this a little bit earlier of just like, you can't back 800 games every single year. Yeah, you really have to be careful with how much you're spending in these games, because you can just forget about some. And then at the end, so you can forget because, at like the end of the, at the end of the setup, of like, it could be a month and it was just like, oh, I forgot I backed this one game. Yeah. And you're like,
oops, there's $350 out of my account.
Like, what happened to my money?
Oh, you hit
That's
like
a con. Yeah, that is a con.
You have like 3 projects that end at the same time. Yeah. It's like minus $150, minus 100. Shoot.
I should not have done
that. I can't imagine like if you did Ashes of Creation and like something else, minus 500, minus 250. Minus another 300.
Yeah, whatever it is. Yeah, you're just like a grand in the hole in a month.
And you don't see anything right away. That's the thing.
If I did that, Dan, I would be so like on edge. Be like, I just invested 500 in this game.
Never gonna see.
So many people called the game like a scam as well. Like my friend that I hyped this game up to. My cousin,
the one that you cheat with.
Yeah, the one I cheat with. Like, he's the one who got me into MMOs. So like me and him are just like ready for it. My other friend, he's just like, dude, you're getting scammed out of your money, your time, and everything. Yeah. I'm just like, no, it's real. It's real.
Oh my word, dude, that's funny. All right. We could probably just keep going with it because I'm not gonna lie to you. So anyway, like we said before, we mentioned our event coming up next Saturday, July 10th, 1 to 6 p.m. Link for the event is going to be in the description. We've got a Facebook event for it, so check it out. Come on out. It is going to be $5 at the door. $1 of those $5 will go to the New Lenox food community, the food bank, the New Lenox Food Bank, community food bank. All right, so come out and support the community. Yeah, we're like we've talked about. I think in every episode, we're all about 100% about the community. So come on out, support Hobbies and Happiness, support the New Lenox community. Yeah, we look forward to seeing you there. Also, check us out on all the socials, Facebook, Instagram.
Yes.
Still got to set up Twitter, but everything else, yeah, check us out. All that's links, all going to be in the description. Jim, anybody wants to hit you up, how can they find you on the internet?
Yeah. You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Jim Morgan, HNH.
You can find me on the Twitter at _DG Campbell and Instagram at Daniel.G.Campbell. All of these, like you said, links can be in the description below. You got a story. You got a story for us? You know, you back a Kickstarter that you haven't seen returns on?
Are you guys waiting on Ashes of Creation still?
Yeah. You can email us at hobbiesandhappiness@gmail.com, or you can email Jim and I separately. Dan at hobbiesandhappiness.com and Jim at hobbiesandhappiness.com.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you got any stories, let us know. We look for it. We want to read them. Honestly, you got a story, we'll read it on the show. And yeah, lastly, we are on all the podcasting platforms: Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Don't drop your mic.
I was going to be like, yes. And then I was like, oh, all right. I almost broke it.
Yeah. Leave us a comment, leave us a review, and we'll read them online. So yeah, thanks for that. That was a lot of fun. Jim, it's a lot of fun. And yeah, looking forward to talking next week. So, all right. Well, we'll see everybody. See you next week. Thanks for being here.
Take care.
See you later. All right. Bye.